16, 2025 morning. I'm at South Station, Boston, getting ready to take a ride on South Coast Rail. I'm going to take train 1911 down to Fall River, leaving at 9:50 a.m. Yeah, check this out, will you? How long has it been since you saw a sign like this in this station? Oh, like maybe since 1959? 9:41. Fall River, New Bedford, train 1911, depart 11:50. South Station, JFK, UMass, Quincy Center, Braintree, Holbrook, Randolph, Montello, Brockton, Campello, Bridgewater, Middleboro, East Taunton, Freetown, and Fall River. All right, departing South Station, heading for Fall River, making history today. Got an F40 PH3C on this train, so we got F40s racing out of here. Got F40 1075 on a Worcester train. Okay, just went through Tower A, or Tower 1 interlocking. Ready to cross the Port Point Channel.
Good morning, this is the outbound train to Fall River. We are making all stops. Our first station stop is going to be JFK UMass. If you're using your mobile ticket application, please have your tickets activated. First station stop will be JFK UMass, and this is the outbound train to Fall River. For those of you wishing to go to New Bedford, you'll be exiting the train at East Taunton with a connecting train to New Bedford. Again, our first station stop, JFK UMass.
There's the Red Line's Cabot Street yard, and you're seeing a whole host of equipment there, including some new CRRCs. They've got 30 of them on their roster, roughly. They're running them on JFK UMass Ashmont shuttle trains due to construction until April 30th. That will take place. Car 860s still running. JFK UMass, joint commuter rail and red line stop. Between here and Braintree will be paralleling the red line. Kind of alternates from side to side. It's on the right side now, but...
For those of you just joining us, this is the outbound train to Fall River. Our next station stop is Quincy Center. If you're using your mobile ticket application, please have your tickets activated and have your tickets ready for inspection. Next station stop is Quincy Center.
At this point, we're right in between two different red line routes. The one out there is the line that goes down to Quincy and Braintree. And on the opposite side is the red line that goes to Ashmont, where you connect with the Mattapan trolley. I've been on this line before down to Middleboro. Well, I came from the to and from the Middleboro Lakeville station, which is no longer used. Middleboro proper is being used now, which is built by a new storage yard. Well, actually, it's an old storage yard, but the route to Fall River and New Bedford serves Middleboro. And the Middleboro Lakeville station is only going to be used for the summertime Cape Flyer from Boston to Hyannis. I got to take a ride on that this summer if I can. Yeah, you'll note on the red line, unlike Long Island Railroad and Philadelphia's Market Street Subway and Broad Street subways, the third rail is not covered. It's exposed. So when it rains, you get some good lightning shows from the equipment. You can only imagine what it's like in the wintertime. I'll narrate what I can, and I'll add graphics and or voiceovers appropriately. Last time there were trains from Boston to New Bedford and Fall River was back in 1959. So this is quite a new experience for this 70-year-old. Yeah, the Ashmont line has left us, and we're going over the Neponset River. There you see an Alewife-bound red line train there. And we're catching up to a Braintree. shrink-wrapped equipment there. This is the North Quincy Red Line station. I was rail fanning here yesterday. The ride down to Fall River in New Bedford is mostly single-track railroading. The interlockings you see are at the ends of controlled sidings. This is their Red Line station of Wollaston. I did a little rail fanning there yesterday too. Get some good views of the old colony lines from those stops. Okay, we're arriving at the Joint Red Line Commuter Rail Quincy Center Station, or as the locals say it, Quincy Center. Can't see too much here. Okay, our next stop will be Braintree. That was the site of an old New Haven railroad yard. CSX still uses it today. Quite a few shrink-wrapped red line cars. Saw one on that one. Okay, this is the Quincy Adams Red Line station. There's a parking garage here. I've often used that parking garage, making one-day drives to Boston to entertain guests. Go up 95, get on Route 128, and it takes you right to it going east. that line over there, that's the Greenbush line. Y track. Old colony lines are made up of Greenbush, Kingston, Middleboro, Fall River, New Bedford line trains now. Just beyond Braintree, the Kingston line diverges. There's the Braintree yard for CSX. It's busy at night, I'm told. Braintree Station. It's a joint red line commuter rail stop.
We're now arriving Braintree, station 7, Braintree.
Braintree is the home of presidents John Adams and John Quincy Adams. Both of those presidents were born in a north precinct of Braintree, which is now part of Quincy. And I think you can tell where Quincy got its name from John Quincy Adams. Over there used to be a Motel 6. That bare spot where they look like they're building a parking lot used to stay there. That closed down years ago due to drug dealings going on. I loved staying at that place. Used to drive up there and spend nights there. It was budget accommodations. But I got no complaints about the Courtyard Marriott by the Route 128 station. Here we kiss goodbye the red line. We're on our own the rest of the way. I know the interlocking here is called Pearl. I'll mention the interlockings later. Okay, there goes the line that goes down to Halifax and Kingston, Massachusetts. When they announce the trains in South Station, they say Kingston, Massachusetts. There has been some talk of extended MBTA beyond Whitford Junction to Kingston, Rhode Island. Kick out of that billboard at Braintree Station advertising a law firm. They say wicked smart lawyers. Wicked is a term that's used heavily in Boston to describe something really spectacular. Something's really good in Boston, they say that's a wicked pisser. And here you don't say Dunkin' Donuts, you say Dunkin's. I can just imagine fans watching Carl Yastrzemski hit balls into the screen at Fenway Park. You know, they would yell out, "Yes, Captain Carl! What a wicked pisser! You hit one over the monster!" To me, the Boston accent adds charm to an already charming city of Boston. Believe it or not, I was indoctrinated to the Boston accent on Long Island. In 9th grade, I had a science teacher named Mr. Stott, and he was from Marblehead, Massachusetts, as he called it. And he always used to teach us about the periodic table of the elements. And he would come in and say, "All right, take out your periodic chats. We're going to study about carbon dioxide." What a guy. He taught in my school district in Lindenhurst for 50 years. My first job when I got out of high school was at a machine shop, Sosner Tap and Tool. The management were largely from New England. The plant manager was from Foxborough, and my foreman, Bill, he was from Brunswick, Maine. I remember his name was Bill Hardison, and he introduced himself. He says, "Hi, my name is Bill Hardison." And whenever he would get excited about machines not working, we had a assistant foreman there called George. He would go, "Hey, George, the Brown and Sharp machine needs to be fixed. The A42 machine needs to be fixed." I heard that accent all over the place when I was working there. Going through a signing right here. I wonder if we're meeting somebody.
Now approaching Old Brook.
Holbrook Randolph. Once again, Holbrook Randolph.
40 has a nice K5LA horn on him. Station Montello.
Arriving Montello. Station stop is Montello.
Named after Montello Williams? No, I don't think so. Brockton, Massachusetts, birthplace of fighter Rocky Graziano. It's the largest town between the Boston area and Fall River. Fall River and New Bedford aren't that far apart, up like 20 miles, and they have a substantial population. I think Fall River is Fall River is almost 100,000, and New Bedford it's a little over 100,000. Two large cities in Massachusetts I have never been to. I'm just a little kid of 70. Had no reason to go there. There were no trains until now. The last time they had trains, I was 5 years old.
Okay, this is Brockton, everyone.
Well, there's the Brockton Police Precinct. So if there's ever any problem with the conductors and crewmen being harassed by passengers, they can take them right over to the cops, right there. And we're going to meet train 2022 from New Bedford to Boston. We're in car number 868. I think this is a Hyundai Rotem car. It has chimes like a Chicago Transit Authority car when the doors close. Yeah, somewhere here we should see train 2022 from New Bedford.
Next stop, Campello.
1027 on the back. MBTA's gotten a few more rebuilds back. F40s. They'll be around for a while. Caltrain still has 3 F40 PH-3Cs, 920 to 922. They use them exclusively nowadays on the San Jose Gilroy service. The rest is electric. Should point out that the Fall River and New Bedford service from Boston back when it was discontinued in the 1950s, 1959 to be exact, those trains didn't take this route. They went via Canton Junction, Stoughton, Taunton, and then down to the respective points of Fall River and New Bedford. This routing was created on March 24th. It was brand new.
You're now arriving Campello. Next stop is Campello.
Brand new as far as the end-to-end routing. This is Campello.
Our next station stop is Bridgewater. As a reminder, the destination of this train is Fall River. For those of you wishing to go to New Bedford, you would exit the train at East Taunton and there'll be a connecting train taking you to New Bedford. Thank you.
The East Taunton has become quite a little hot spot. In addition to the through trains to and from Fall River and New Bedford out of Boston, you have shuttle trains from New Bedford to East Taunton and East Taunton to Fall River, and vice versa. It has a raised letter K5LA. can't see it, the old Bridgewater station here is now a Burger King. It's kind of neat to hear horns on the MBTA commuter rail, especially since there are so many quiet zones on the system. I went to Chelsea about a year or so ago and they were blowing the horns for the crossings. I heard they made it a quiet zone again. Jeez.
Bridgewater.
There was a Plymouth Street crossing there as we arrive in Bridgewater. Home of Bridgewater State University.
We're now arriving at Bridgewater. Station stop in Bridgewater.
New York would say Bridgewater. Philadelphia they say Bridgewater. Up here they say Bridgewater. Is this part of the campus? Looks pretty nice. Right, I know our next stop will be a station I've never been to before, Middleboro proper, not Middleboro Lakeville. Between here and Middleboro, we have quite a distance between stops, about 6-something miles.
Middleboro will be our next station stop. Please walk back where you came from. Please go back.
What was that announcement all about? Summer months, this is the route of the Cape Flyer. It goes down to Hyannis. Makes a few trips each weekend. rustic out here. Not much down here, man. And we're 32 miles from Boston. Middleboro's around milepost 35. This interlocking we just passed through is M-I-D. We'll be making a right turn and going into the new Middleboro station. Here at Middleboro is a yard for CSX locals. Most of the locals run at night, although they do run a local daytime job out to Attleboro. interlocking coming up is Pilgrim. You'll be able to see where the old line to Middleboro Lakeville station diverges, the line used by the Cape Flyer to Hyannis. CSX yard is on the right side, loaded with cars, scrap metal, tanks. So a couple of cheap 40-2s. Alright, this is Pilgrim. Over there's the line that goes down to the old Middleboro Lakeville station. No longer used except for the Cape Flyer. Now I'm on unexplored trackage.
Now arriving Middleboro.
All right, folks, this is the new Middleboro station.
This stop is Middleboro.
Oh, coming up is the storage yard. They used this storage yard heavily when Middleboro Lakeville was the
Our
terminus.
next station stop will be East Taunton. Once again, for those of you wishing to go to New Bedford, exit the train at East Taunton. There'll be a connecting train to take you to your destination. The destination of this train is
Something interesting back
Next
there.
stop, East Taunton.
4 River Transportation. A lot of scrap metal here. I thought the New York and Atlantic was bad, hauling scrap metal, construction debris. CSX in Massachusetts is right up there. Mass Coastal Power. Look at that. That I've never seen. It's a short line that serves this Cape Cod area. Signals look brand new, relay boxes look brand new. This is brand new, it's not even a month old. New chain link fence. I believe this route was used by New Haven Railroad trains that ran, well, obviously between Boston and Cape Cod, like Woods Hole and Hyannis. The day Cape Codder and the Neptune used to run this route. There was a night Cape Codder too. The Cape Codders were New York to, I think, Hyannis, Woods Hole trains? Woods Hole is where you get on the ferries to Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. From Lake Interlocking to Cotley Junction, which is just before East Taunton Station, the speed limit jumps for the most part to 79 miles an hour. This is superb trackage. Nice golf course. Nice track. Brand spanking new. Should be a good day to play golf here. It's a little breezy. You better allow for the wind. You don't want to be like Jack Benny and get a hole-in-one, then you have to buy drinks for everybody. That cheapskate. Now this line, keep in mind, is used by both the Fall River and New Bedford bound trains. East Taunton is not where they're separated. That's down at, I think it's called Myrick Junction. That's where the lines go their separate ways. You'll be able to see it because we'll veer off to the right at Myrick Junction. We should have a train sitting at East Taunton to connect with this train. He'll head off to New Bedford. Junction is a great spot to rail fan these lines, as the two lines separate and there's a railroad crossing right by the junction. Doing some highway construction here. Gas is pretty cheap here, $2.69. In New Bedford main line, says the sign. Okay, we're making a left-hand turn here. You can see our terrific power up front. We'll get that locomotive when we arrive Fall River. And get them pulling out to go back to East Taunton. And as we approach East Taunton, we have a T signal here. And our New Bedford connection is sitting there waiting. Years ago, you would be able to go to...
Hi, this is East Taunton, everyone. East Taunton, as a reminder for those of you wishing to go to New Bedford, exit the train here at East Taunton. There'll be a train connecting you to your destination. Thank you.
Years ago, trains would go into Boston via Taunton, Stoughton, Canton Junction. They didn't take this routing. East Taunton. There's talk of reviving MBTA service to Taunton via that route through Stoughton. F40's wild here. That guy will go down to New Bedford and then he'll go back to Boston. This equipment, when it gets to Fall River, will go back to East Taunton.
Our next station stop is going to be Freetown. Freetown will be our next station stop.
Go from Fall River to East Taunton, then go down to New Bedford and back to Boston. That's the cycle. South interlocking. Oh man, 3 F40s running around down here. Great. But later that afternoon, I saw nothing but Garfields on these trains. I'm not sure of the cycle of those shuttle trains, but there's through service from both New Bedford and Fall River to Boston, with shuttles in between. Post 38.95. Fall River is roughly 51 miles from Boston, and New Bedford is about 54. relay boxes. You can see your face in it. Oh, the signal on this track has a proceed per cab signal indication. That's for that New Bedford train that was sitting at East Taunton. Okay, here we go through the switch at Myrick Junction. We leave the New Bedford line. Here it is. Yeah, that looks like a great spot for rail fanning. Now this is exclusively used by Fall River trains. If I'm mispronouncing Myrick Junction, my apologies. It's not the first time I've mispronounced names around the Boston area. Sounds brand new too. Slab Bridge Road. He's moving. Brand new passenger railroading at its best. Freetown. I'm not familiar with the roads around here because I've never been here. Ooh. Okay, next and last stop, Fall River, Massachusetts.
Our next station stop, Fall River.
Here's the Fall River facility for the commuter rail. Yeah, we stopped briefly outside of the Fall River station to change crews. You can see them walking over to the building, yard office. I believe the facility for New Bedford is right by the station. This is a little further away from Fall River. This is Fall River. A little hilly, some old buildings. Fall River, you got train service to Boston now for the first time in over 60 years. Enjoy it. A city of this size should have direct service to Boston. D'Angelo's grilled sandwiches. There's a Burger King here if you rail fans want to get something to eat.
Now arriving Fall River.
Fall River Depot.
Now arriving Fall River Depot. Please take a look around your seats and make sure you have all your belongings. You do not want to leave anything on this train. Once again, now arriving Fall River Depot.
Welcome to Fall River, Massachusetts. Here's our beautiful locomotive that took us down here. We'll be going back to East Taunton in about 15 minutes. Ooh, it's windy here. Getting ready, going to watch train 1976 depart for East Taunton. Fall River. Here in Fall River is the Lizzie Borden Museum. Back in 1892, she took an axe to a couple of family members, and believe it or not, she was acquitted. She moved into a mansion somewhere in this town. That bridge you see in the distance is Braga Bridge. It's about a mile long. It carries Interstate 195. Well, here's a local resident, John. John Green is a retired Metro North engineer. Loves the New Haven line. That's where he worked most of his career. Whatever you want to know about the New Haven Railroad, he could probably tell you. So,
and I'm more accurate and modest than Paul is.
Yeah. Slightly more. Yeah.
And exceedingly modest.
Yeah. Good old Paul. And we drove up to the East Taunton station, where you get both the Fall River and New Bedford trains. And the shuttles terminate here, so it gets pretty busy every hour. From here, we'll take the train down to New Bedford, and I'll later go back to Boston from there.
Scheduled to depart at 1:28 p.m. on track 2.
Oh, here's the T signal. Track curves to the right, heading up towards Middleboro. All right, 1:14, here comes train 1918. This is a Fall River to East Taunton shuttle. Equipment to New Bedford. But we're going to have two other trains coming here first. Fall River bound train and a New Bedford Boston bound train. Well, running late is 1917 bound for Fall River.
This one clears up ahead, short while. Train to Boston will come in.
At 2028 outside the station from New Bedford to Boston. You can't come in yet. This will be our connection for train 2067 to New Bedford, which I will ride. Goofy Grape. There were F-40s all over the place earlier. Now all you got are these. On board 2067 departing East Taunton for New Bedford. Get to hear the K5LA on the HSP 46.
Church Street is next.
Stevens, Maine.
Church Street.
This new Bedford main line south of East Taunton is real fast. We got some really good speed most of the way down towards New Bedford. Those engines sound like B-52s when they take off. Believe it. Doing 74 miles an hour. Wow. It's a freight train or something out there. I saw a bunch of tanks. Friend's got a speedometer. We're doing 78. This is 80. Junction here. Much out here. It's mostly swamp country here. This guy's really flying. Beautiful track, smooth as silk, velvet. Spared no expense building this railroad down to Fall River in New Bedford. this is definitely a high-speed line going down to New Bedford. Sounds like that HSP 46 has a raised letter too. No, they got good horns. May bash them a bit, but they have redeeming features. Can't say the same about the SEPTA Silverliner 4s though.
Church Street Station, Church Street Station.
Nice high-speed run there. Church Street is part of New Bedford, which is the bigger of the two cities between this and Fall River.
Back out of the yard, they pull down and see that substation. Every person.
Well, there won't be anything in there right now. Talking about the storage yard at New Bedford.
New Bedford next. New Bedford will be next. It's the final stop.
Yeah, very much the final stop. Evidence of a mightier industrial time here. Interlocking is Nash. It's not the station. It looks like some kind of loading bay or something. I don't know. About to pass under I-195. How far does I-195 go?
East Providence to where?
Oh,
40 miles long.
mill turned into luxury rentals.
Now approaching New Bedford.
There's the yard. Right down below you see the yard office and the empty yard tracks. It'll be loaded with trains later. New Bedford, Massachusetts. First time here.
Final stop.
New Bedford, final stop.
arrived in New Bedford. Here's our Power 2036. He was really rolling coming down here. We were doing 80.